why are we adding this role? Why are we putting managers in place? Um, why did somebody just get hired over me? And when we map that stuff out, at least there's a conversation on the front end to say, here's where we're going. And if you fit that role, amazing. You can go with us, but the business is going here. I mean, we get this all the time where it's companies that want to scale large. They want to build big companies. And the people they have right now, it's the what got you here won't get you there. Doesn't mean we got to go firing everybody, but these people do not have the appetite or the desire to go to that next level. They don't want to be a part of a $100 million business. They want to be a part of a $5 million business. And just getting ahead of it, and at least the visionary saying, here's where we're going, here's the path we're casting, and innovating the business to say this is where we're going, at least it makes that conversation palatable. Another thing, just from the actual tactical of firing people, I mean, you just tell them this isn't working, we're moving forward. I mean, if you've ever seen the movie Moneyball, they do this where they just go in, they tell the guy, hey, look, you just got traded. Here's the person that's going to help you off board. This is not the time to prove your point. Your leaders are strong. And if you've got to rip into somebody because you fired them, it's just kind of a lack of self-control. You should be able to just look at them and say, hey, this isn't going to work. We're moving forward. That is what it is. We appreciate all you've done, but we're moving on from here. I find, I've had to fire a few people in my life, and I wish I could go back and be much more that way about it. And going forward, that's how I've been more so. It's just, hey, isn't working. We're moving forward. Sorry about that. We'll help you any way we can, but we're going to move forward.
Yeah, I think for me, when you talk about conflict in a business, there are two types of conflict. There's healthy conflict and there's unhealthy conflict. And so, we got to first as leaders determine when it's becoming unhealthy and shut it down. Healthy conflict should be mining for in a company. We should be looking for healthy conflict. Healthy conflict only makes everybody better and stronger. And what I mean by healthy is when two people are willing to bring an argument or bring their perspectives, and both people are willing to listen to the perspective. But usually healthy conflict is when people are collaborating in a solution and they just don't see eye to eye. And it's okay. It's okay not to see eye to eye. Dictatorship would determine you can't share your opinion, and my opinion is the only way. And so in healthy conflict, you got to be willing to listen and give healthy and constructive feedback and criticism of everything that's being talked about. Unhealthy conflict is when someone is not willing to listen. They're not willing to hear somebody else's opinion. They want to dictate the solution to them. Or it's not in the best interest of the business. I see it a lot of times in businesses where somebody gauges an unhealthy conflict and they're pushing an agenda, and we call it politicking. There's a real reason why we call it politicking, because it's somewhat unhealthy, right? Don't politic to get your way. We saw it on main stage the last week was a politicking session, an 8-minute politicking session. People trying to get their way in the business and in the country. But when people are politicking to get their way, it's not acting in the best interest of the company, and therefore it's unhealthy. And somebody's got to be willing to call that out. There's a really good book called Crucial Conversations. And I always highly recommend Crucial Conversations to people that are struggling with that area of conflict, and how to understand what healthy conflict is and what unhealthy conflict is, and when to call out unhealthy conflict, right? Mm-hmm. When to say, we've had enough. We're done. And going back to the subject line of this whole statement, I felt like if Trump would have called it out a little earlier, when he saw it was becoming unhealthy, just say, hey, listen, we're not here to have an unhealthy conversation. We can talk more about this, but we're not going to continue this conversation on the main stage in front of the whole world. So let's just kind of calm this thing down, guys. Media, thanks for coming today. We're going to continue our conversation behind closed doors. Thank you for your time. And the most that would have come out of that would have been wow, that seemed a little heated. That seemed like they were, Trump had to step in and step up. And I think that's where we kind of missed the mark in this scenario. And what happened was we probably should have identified when it was going from healthy to unhealthy and shut it down. That's what great leadership does, is they shut it down when it's unhealthy. I was in the team not too long ago, and this two people were not getting along, and they were partners. And one looked at the other one, he's like, I'm out. There was no fight. There was no belittling the other party. This is unhealthy. I'm out. Hey, it's not like I'm going to take my ball and go home. It's just no, we're not going to continue to have this conversation. I'm out of the conversation. I'm done. And that is a very appropriate way to handle unhealthy conflict.
Yeah, the thing you don't want is apathy. The worst is when you're in those meetings and everybody's apathetic, and it's just kind of like nobody really wants to push on anything. I mean, if you were a fly on the wall in like our quarterly meetings at Sharper, they get aggressive. Like they get very, very loud and very boisterous. It's because nobody's apathetic about what we're doing. There's a heavy level of passion, and when you step into those things, now when it starts turning personal, when it starts turning to name calling, when it turns into only belittling from something that somebody did years and years and years ago, then all of a sudden it's like we've crossed some lines here that are not constructive to the business. And if the true purpose of the conflict is to make something better, then why do we not stay on topic? And it's because the passions get going, and that's understandable. But it's just bringing it back to that healthy place. The book Gary gave is phenomenal. There's like 4 different books that go in that same vein of just making sure that in those crucial moments, in crucial conversations, it talks about the fact when you're angry, when you're mad, literally your brain does not work as well. You're literally, they put in the book is you're literally at your dumbest when you're mad. It's the reason why if you've ever gotten in an argument with your wife, you'll get in these arguments and you'll say something, you're like, I sound like an idiot right now. I sound like a complete moron. And that's what happens a lot of times in those situations is there needs to be somebody there. A lot of times it works out well to have us there as a consultant because we can look and say, hey, pause. I'm not in this with you. So let's take a quick 5 minutes. Let everybody refresh. Let everybody reset. Everybody get something to eat, get something to drink. Like just take a second, take a beat, and then we can come back and get on this topic again. But those heated moments, man, they can go sideways fast on you.
Years ago, I started putting up those Ring cameras, outside the house. And I was thinking, I'm going to put some in the house, right? Like this is years ago. And like one night there was an argument, and I won't tell you who was in the argument. There was an argument, right? And I decided to watch the camera because I'm like, I'm right. I'm not wrong. Like that person's wrong. I'm gonna prove they're wrong. Like they said this. I went back and was watching it and listened to it. I'm like, oh, man, they didn't say what I thought they said. And like, man, look at me. I look like I'm like a monster. I look mad. What's wrong with me? I'd be scared to death of myself. Like,
yeah.
Well, here I'm thinking in my own mind that I was cool, calm, and collected. But my body wasn't cool, calm, and collected. My tone wasn't cool, calm, and collected. Even though I wasn't screaming, I still very angry and frustrated. And boy, I was like...
So either Gary had to tone it down or take the cameras out.
Yeah, start down on, right? Like, no one's here. That's still there. I mean, it's just kidding.
It's watch that footage. We should watch that footage and commentate on it, Gary. I think that would be a phenomenal episode. Is we just you and whoever, let's say her name rhymes with Musin, all right? Like it rhymes with Musin, and we stick the footage up here.
I think it was Jacob, right?
That seems more on brand. Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot of fights in my house, but the fights in my house are usually when 2 maverick type people go together. Sure. And it was when he was a little older, he was like 17, 18 years old, still living at home. And he's 6 foot now, so it was like,
he's looking down on you. He's looking down on you, and you didn't like it.
I remember saying, I remember getting so angry because I was like, I thought he said something that he didn't say when I rewatched it. And he's like, I didn't say that. I'm like, boy, don't create a tone with me like that. You did say that. Apologize. He's like, I didn't say that. I'm not going to apologize for something I didn't say. And I remember thinking to myself, like, you're going to get it, And I'm like, I remember making this statement, if you feel froggy, like, let's go.